Hello, everyone. For those of you just joining us, my name is Imani Moise, U.S. banking correspondent for the Financial Times, and it's my pleasure to introduce our final speaker of the day, Ife Durosinmi Etti, Chief Executive Officer of Her Economy. Welcome, Ife.
Thank you very much, Imani. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So, I think just to start, can you talk about how technology has improved financial inclusion for women in Nigeria?
Okay, technology is actually everything, and for us here in Nigeria, it has been able to close the gender gap, significantly. So in Nigeria, currently, there are about 35% of women who have access to financial bank accounts or financial services, and this increase has increased over the last few years, which is like between 5 years when technology became a huge determinant in terms of like opening of mobile bank accounts and all of that. So technology has been able to push the limits, bank the unbanked. People have now have access to digital footprints, which eventually helps them to have access to credit and loans and all of that, which in the past they didn't have. And this has only happened, because of technology. So technology has been significant in terms of pushing women in Nigeria to having bank accounts.
And it's also been a good tool just for connecting women who are interested, right? Because I think Her Economy, when we were chatting, started as a community. So can you talk a little bit
Yes.
about the transition from community to financial service provider?
Okay, so we started economy or AGS tribe. That's what it used to be called back in the day. Started out as a community that I wanted to help women access grants, loans, scholarships, jobs, and all of that. And because of that, we used to have, weekly capacity building sessions. So we had the opportunity to interact with women all over, Nigeria. We actually spoke to over 85,000 women. So just interacting with them and learning more about what they wanted, coming together as a community, talking, having, monthly events. We decided that, when we started hearing all of the issues that women started having, and we couldn't just empower women by just, teaching them stuff during our capacity building sessions, we said we needed to go the extra mile and introduce them to having access to financial services, which was what made us pivot now to financial services. We also hosted like a savings challenge, which led to over 500 women joining to save money. And before then, women knew that they couldn't save. And I use myself as an example. I used to work as a 9 to 5. I used to work in a multinational and I couldn't save. And I'm a millennial who was working and I was banked, but I didn't have access to saving, or I didn't have the financial literacy enough. I didn't have the education enough at the time to tell me, okay, these are the investments to do and all of that. But because we came together as a community, there were experts within the community at the time who would come and teach us on different topics and say, okay, these are the right investments to do. So we decided, let's launch a savings challenge. And we had over 500 women come together and they saved $100,000 within a 3-month period. That's when we knew that this was something that we wanted to pivot to. And that's how her economy came about, and it's been an exciting journey. We actually launched our own savings platform on the 11th of April this year, and together we have saved over 100 million naira just from then till now.
Yeah, so I guess just some back of the envelope math, $100,000, 500 women, I think that's like roughly 200 per
Yes.
person. Like, what does that level
Mhm.
of savings mean for Nigerian women? And like, where would that money have gone otherwise if it wasn't being earmarked for a savings account?
So if you look at the regular Nigerian lives below $1 a day, and that is significant. So if a woman can actually be able to put away $200 in a period of 3 months, they're going like extra, they're going by like 100%, even though this is a period of 3 months. So what that did was, because you're not just saving money. What happens in Nigeria is you have so many people around you. You have so many people living below the poverty line. So you're dishing out money. You're not necessarily keeping a budget or keeping to your budget. Let's say you have a budget. You're sending money to this person who needs money or this person who is sick. So because of that, you don't necessarily calculate how much actually passes through your hands, whether you're an entrepreneur or a career person. So this made it very this made it significant. It was a huge, data point for us as a community, because we're able to say, if this woman could actually save $200, that means we can actually take this thing to a wider level. We can actually go out and start a campaign and say, see, we know that women don't have access to bank accounts. Right now, only 35% of women have access to bank accounts. Not and now they're going beyond just having bank accounts. They're actually transacting, and now they're actually saving extra money for like emergency funds and all of that. So it was a huge determining factor for us and other Nigerian women to know that they could actually do more with their money. And the savings that they're doing, they're not just saving the money and the money is being stagnant. They're actually saving money and earning high interest on their savings, which was very significant for us. So me, for example, I went from saving 1,000 naira a day, which is about $3, to now saving 10,000 naira a day. And it pushed the regular Nigerian woman to know that they could actually do more with their money. They could do more with their skills. They could learn more. They could think about some of the talents that they had within themselves that they used to offer to people around them for free and start monetizing their knowledge. So it became a time where women could actually start renewing their mindsets about money and doing more with their money.
Hello, I just want to apologize for the technical difficulties on my end, but I don't want to waste any more time in this important discussion. So let's talk a little bit about bank partnerships. So why hasn't the traditional banking sector made any more progress when it comes to incorporating women into financial services?
I didn't hear the question. Could you go over the question again?
Sure.
I think we
Sure.
lost you
I
for a
wanted to
minute.
talk a,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about collaborating with traditional banks. And I guess from your experience working with them and and being in the community, why hasn't the traditional banking sector been more effective in including women in financial services?
To be honest, over the last couple of years, because of the U.S. Sustainable Development Goals and everyone is talking about women empowerment, gender equality, I feel like a lot of organizations have decided to start including more women. They started championing more diversity and inclusion clauses. But to be honest, not honestly, I don't really think that traditional banks have actually sat down with these women and to actually design products that actually suit these women. And I'll give a typical example. So a traditional bank here in Nigeria reached out to me to say, oh, we know you have this community of amazing women who are, already saving on your platform, would like to introduce a product that would actually be fantastic for women. And we are an organization that is eventually going to grow into a bank. But we've started first with a savings product. So we wanted to do loans, but not now. But because they came to us with a product that we felt would be fantastic for women, and they said the interest rate was going to be 6.5% for the year, I was excited. I broke all protocols and I was like, you know what, let's do this. Let's introduce this to the women within our community because we have a wider community of over 20,000 women on our platform. And we introduced this product. And the minute we announced this product, they came back to us and said, oh, there was a mistake. Oh, they couldn't offer the 6.5%, and now it was now going to be 13%. And we're like, that we actually did a simulation of actual costs. If somebody takes out 10 naira, they would pay back, 13, they'll pay back 6% on that per annum instead of the 13%, per annum. And it was a back and forth thing that we had already decided. They had already even announced it on their website. So you would think that, somebody on their end, legally and everything would have gone through all of this information, but they missed it out. And that just showed me that, traditional banks are not necessarily thinking of products that would actually be suited to women. They're just coming up with fancy names and putting her or she or woman or all of that in front of them without necessarily sitting down with the women to actually come up with products that actually suit these women. So we've decided, we're going to sit back and, design more of these products, within our community, because we actually have spoken to over 85,000 women. So we actually know what women want. And if you look at the statistics, women are actually the ones who actually pay back their loans. So we're not scared to give women these loans. We know where they are, we know where they live, we have their records, and we have their credit history. So we're looking forward to providing financial services that actually are suited for women.
And a lot of the community work that you've been doing isn't so much about providing a product. It's about kind of education and changing behavior. So when it comes to things like your
Yes.
savings challenge, like what techniques do you use to motivate people to change that behavior, save more, and how'd you get the inspiration for that? That question comes from our audience.
Okay, so personally, I've kind of grown into becoming an influencer on social media, especially Instagram, especially because of my book. And so my influence on Instagram started to build. So every once in a while, I come up with different issues. I'll just come up with different topics based on people's personal experiences, and I'll share on my stories and I'll share them anonymously. So when we decided to do the savings challenge, we just used that technique. We started, social media, and we started talking about, I first spoke about my story. Then I brought some other people to come and talk about their own stories, how they were not able to save before, and now they started to save. And, I think not necessarily only in Nigeria, I think even all over the world, a lot of people keep up with the Joneses, but this was actually for a good cause. So we're able to motivate people to say, look at me, I'm somebody who is well schooled, well traveled, I'm exposed, but I couldn't save money. And sometimes it's not necessarily your fault. It's just because you don't know better. So come along, we can do this challenge together. You can cut down on expenses and just do some of the things that are only necessary, and see how far you'd be able to grow your money if you come within a community. And because we are also a community, a lot of organizations with credible products come to us to say, okay, these are some investment opportunities that we think your community can tap into. And that's the benefit of building a product that also has a community. A lot of the organizations come up with targeted products for your community. So it's easier, and it's more trust, there's more trust, and there's a better pool of people. So you also have a higher bargaining power, which is why community is at the core of everything we did. And I would like to even point out why community is very important. When we actually started building our financial services product or financial services company, when we were pitching to investors at the time, a lot of them were like, oh, I don't really understand the community. There can never be another Facebook. And I was like, we're not trying to build another Facebook. We're actually trying to build something stronger. We're trying to promote financial literacy. We're trying to do all of these things for women. And we already have success stories. We already have people within our community who are already doing well based off of what we're trying to do. But because I wasn't getting the response I wanted at the time, I went back to the community and I said, guys, we're trying to build this product. Will you back me? And we're able to raise $600,000 within 24 hours off of Instagram. And this was something that had never been done before. We have people who have been trying to raise for months and years on end, and we're able to do this in 24 hours. We actually got commitments of 5.7 million. And I would like to point out here again that all of this money, 70% of it was from our community, and we also had some institutional investors, and a lot of these people were women, and a lot of them were also first-time investors. So obviously they believed in what we're doing. So we're trying to change that mindset of women generally. If you come within our community, you will become financially empowered. You have access to bank accounts, you have access to better saving products, better investment opportunities for yourself. So you're not only growing financially, you're also growing with your mind, you're growing in your career, you're growing in your business, and you're also growing in people. Like they say, your network is one of your best assets. You have a community of like-minded women who are looking to, change the narrative of Africa. And I'm super proud of, the community that we've built and the kind of products that we built to serve, the women in Africa.
So how can men support her economy and her economy's mission going forward? Are they a part of the future, or as you're trying to build, or do you want to stay very specialized and focused on women?
We're actually female focused, right? And I tell people like 97% of the people in our community are women, but we also have men who actually are part of our community. And I call them, the female champions. So these are men who also believe that women should be empowered. So not only do we have men who are also saving on our platform, we also have men who are also investors. So I know that we cannot do this thing alone. We're part of an ecosystem, but the most important is the goal, which is we want women to thrive, financially, economically, socially. We want them to be empowered. So we have to do this together. We're female focused. So some of the grants, in fact, all of the grants that we give out will be for women, but all of the income, we have income that can also come from men. And these are men who believe that women should be empowered. So we're doing this together. It's a two-in-one thing. We're all doing this together.
And it definitely sounds like this is a solution for the community, deeply rooted in community. But I guess what role do kind of maybe global solutions or global partners play in kind of addressing this issue? Or is the ground up community oriented approach best in your view?
Oh yes, I'm excited about how global partners can actually come in and help us. Um, very soon, we're actually already in talks with the Central Bank of Nigeria to get like a proper banking license. What we actually have now is a cooperative license. So once we get that, we're looking to speak to people like the IFC, the World Bank. I'm actually one of the advisors to the World Bank on youth empowerment, youth employment issues through the S4YE, which is Solutions for Youth employment. So I'm already, speaking to people. They already know what her economy is about and all of that. So I'm looking forward to them coming to say, okay, we know that you have this credible, group of professional women. We have this loan opportunity and with small interest rates, and we know that these people would pay back. So we want to come and support the work that you are doing. So we're looking forward to speaking to all kinds of partners, and we also already currently have partners who also give up to 30% discounts on products and services that women actually need. So services like salons, restaurants and hotels and things that women actually need to thrive, clothing and all of that. We have currently over 100 partners, and some of these partners include like the likes of Adidas in Nigeria, hotels like Radisson Blue, things that women like and things that women need. So we already have those partners who already exist. But I look forward to getting even more financial partners that can come on board and give us, come up with, we can co-create products that, women can actually benefit from. So I look forward to working with brands like that, and they're welcome to talk to us for better opportunities.
Okay, and we'll end with one last question from the audience. Have you bumped up against any kind of regulatory hurdles in trying to bring the community, I guess, community-oriented banking approach and doing that at scale?
Right now, we actually haven't gotten any pushback from the government or regulatory bodies, because we've actually done everything the right way, which is like getting the cooperative license and all of that. I'm very particular because I'm very aware that a lot of other people have actually tried to build a bank for women in Nigeria and haven't necessarily succeeded. So I'm trying to do everything, by the book, and just trying to get advisors, people who have also been in the industry to come on board and show us the way and ensure that we're doing things the right way. So we haven't come across any issues from regulators, and I look forward to even seeing and getting like a proper banking license so that we can even do more at scale.
Okay, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you, Ife, so much for joining us all the way from Lagos. I think that's the cool thing about virtual conferences, but it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, bye. And to our audience, I just want to thank you all again so much for tuning in to this day of really insightful panels. If you're interested in watching any of the sessions again, they'll be available on the website for 30 days. And that brings us to the conclusion of this year's Banking Revolution Conference. Thank you.